Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin LaVore coming at you by himself again. Anyway, we always like to start off these videos by first thanking those who give to us. And man, sometimes we do have to cast out that net. I don't know how all these other ministries do it. They probably have some sort of, I don't know, they just do it different. But we're like a little mom and pop shop, you know what I'm saying? And the Lord has sustained us for these years. And so we are in this full time. And so if you would like to give to us, there's a Venmo, Cash App, PayPal link below. And give as you feel so led. And we just thank you and bless you guys for real. And so, I talked recently about the king is in the room, right? And how that's just been a thing. And so then today, I have had two very specific encounters with the Lord. And the first encounter I had with the Lord was very awesome because I was getting ready to go back I was coming from somewhere. I think I had to go downstairs and actually make a payment because I actually make payments on Tuesdays, not Mondays, because it just seems to work. It just works out that way because by the time we get money, it just works out that way. And so I end up making the payment on Tuesday and I'm coming back up and I'm getting ready to go back into the hotel room, but I'm going back into an environment that's kind of tense in that particular moment because there's just been some relational conflict with me and one of my kids. And it's been just this long-term conflict of things that just seems unbreakable, And the Lord just grabbed me. Before I was going to go in, the Lord just grabbed me and pulled me aside. Now, why did he do that? Well, because a lot of times when there's conflict in the family, for whatever leaven of the Pharisees' reason, I always feel like I'm in the wrong and God's on the side of the other person. That's not the fullness of my thoughts, but it is just a little piece of something in there that just bothers me or triggers me. That just like, oh man, yeah, I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe my approach is wrong. Maybe something I am doing is wrong as a parent, and it's just like, and the Lord pulled me aside. And I just really felt the Lord just it was like he was literally right here in the hallway with me. He was pulling me aside and he had me just come up against the wall, kind of like I am right now, right here. And he was like, Dev, you need to understand something. Just because there is relational conflict between you and someone else, that doesn't mean that there's relational conflict between you and me. And the Lord began to just share these things with me and talk more about it. And it just set me free in a way. Again, it's another one of those, it set me free in a way I didn't even know I needed to be set free. Because I was like, wow. And he's like, it's very common. You might have a friend that's this person and that person, and those two people are not getting along. That doesn't mean that you have conflict with any one of those two. In fact, you wish they both would get along, but sometimes that just happens. And so I really felt like the Lord just helped deliver me and set me free in a way that I didn't even know I needed to be set free from. And then later on, it got a little deeper. And this was during our God time. And I was just talking to the Lord. This is hard to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. But I was talking to the Lord just about these issues that I'm having. And I thought toward God. I'm like, anytime you're having any kind of issue, if it's a difficult issue or if it's a great moment, it doesn't matter. God can relate to it, right? And I thought, man, God, you can totally relate to what I'm going through. And I was like, you have children from every generation all the time that they're just in that place where they just don't want to listen to you. They're like, nope, I'm not gonna. For whatever their reason is, they're not gonna listen to you. I'm like, God, you are God, and you deal with this all the time. And so I'm like, how do you deal with it? How do you personally deal with it? And you know what the Lord said to me? He said, Devin, like after you've done all that you know to do, right? He's like, Devin, you know what you got to do in this situation? You just got to let them go. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. You know, the Lord told me a long time ago with situations with my mom. He said, Dev, you're just going to have to let her go. Because she was just an unhealthy relationship in my life. But that's your mom, you know what I'm saying? It was very, very, very difficult. The Lord had to bring he actually had to bring 3 people into my life to confirm this. And they had no idea what I was going through. It was very difficult because it felt like the Lord was telling me to forsake my mom. And I'm like, that's not the Lord. But it was the Lord. But it was just my interpretation of what he was saying was wrong. You know, and it's like, and really when you start studying boundaries and all that stuff, it just made perfect sense what he was saying. I was like, oh yeah, of course, this is true. And the Lord's like, you have to do that also with your kids. You know, if they're to such an age where they're just willingly just not going to listen to you, you don't want it that way, and you're doing everything you can. It's like, you got to let them go. You just got to let them go. And I just thought like, that can't be right. But it just was. It was the Lord. He just showed me like how it was almost like I went through a montage in my spirit, in my mind, of just God showing me that that's what you have to do. He's like, you want to know how I do it? That's how I do it. And then that absence of pursuit and that absence of presence, it can produce, the Lord's like, watch though, it can produce a hunger. And when you hunger for something, you want it, and you will do what you need to do to get the thing you're hungry for, you know? And I thought, wow, that's so true. You know, so both of these to just kind of show like, man, the Lord's like, expect an encounter. And I've had like 2 of them today. Now, part of me is like, okay, this is, Lord, is this an encounter that leads to the promise? You know, you know what I'm saying? I'm always thinking that. I'm always thinking like, well, when you said expect an encounter, I was thinking, you know, but hey, it's not over yet. You know, God's not done. But this is kind of like, I feel like this is just kind of like a part 1 maybe of something God's doing. And, you know, there are definitely 2 significant encounters, and they both kind of set me free in a way. And I feel like I need to be set free in that way. I need to be loosed in that way, because it's going to make me more free to go into what God has for me next. And I just pray that testimony and those stories helped someone else also out there, and it was a blessing to you. But it's like, you don't necessarily have to be tied to the things you think you're tied to. A lot of people, they get tied and loyal bound to certain churches, and it's like, you are tied and loyal bound to the Lord. And if the Lord wants to move you, just obey and move. You know, if the Lord's really in it, he will encourage you. Trust us. I mean, we have been through this for years, and it's like, we have been encouraged so much on this journey. It's just like, the Lord knows how to take you through weird stuff. But if it's not him, he also knows how to let you know it's not him. You know, but be loyal to the Lord, be bound to the Lord, and he will lead you and direct you and guide you in the way that you should go, where you should be, who you should be connected to, when, how long, all that stuff. It'll be him doing it. Yeah. And so, yeah, I hope that blessed you guys. And I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.